Hey, what's up everyone and welcome to Daily Code Buffer. In today's video, we are going to implement the MCP server and see how it can work with Spring Boot. So in the previous videos, we talked about what is MCP server and how it works. Today, let's build the MCP server and see how we can create one and how we can utilize it within the MCP client and MCP host as well. So we are going to use it against the Claude MCP host. So let's understand what we're going to build. Okay. So what we have is we have the Claude, right? So Claude is by Entropic. So let me just add that here. Okay. So we have the Entropic system, that is the Claude AI. Okay. Now what I'm trying to build is I'm trying to build the IPL scheduler. That means IPL schedule API. Okay. So this is something that I want to build, that I want to build an API that can give me the schedule of an API. Schedule means total, the entire schedule, all the matches available for the IPL season for 2025, the matches by the team, the matches by the date, the matches by the date range, and all those things, matches by the stadium, all sorts of things. So now to do that information, what I have to do is I have to interact with an external API. So suppose I am interacting with API. Okay. So suppose I have the API and suppose this is the ClickBuzz. Okay. So ClickBuzz is giving me the API to connect to fetch those data, and let me just connect to that. Okay, and this is my Java application where I have exposed an API and anyone can use it. So what APIs that I have exposed, let me just define that as well. Suppose I have fetch data. Okay, let me just simply define one. There are multiple APIs available. Okay, so this is something that I have exposed. Now if I ask Claude AI that give me the schedule of IPL 2025, then Entropic Cloud will not be able to give me that answer. Okay, we can check that as well. So let me just open Claude. Okay, so this is the Claude, and what I will ask is what is the IPL schedule 2025, and you can see that it says that I don't have specific information about the IPL 2025 schedule, as the knowledge cutoff is October 2024. So any information about after 2024, October 2024 is not available. So definitely the IPL schedule is not available. It says that you can go to this particular websites and get the schedule, but I want Claude to give me that data. Okay. So here you can see that I have this API available and I have the Claude system available, that is your client, but those two are not able to connect. Okay. So what I will do is I will recreate this as an MCP server. Okay, so what I will do is, let me just define this. So I will expose this as an MCP server. Okay, now what I can do is I can connect my Claude system to this particular MCP server. Great. So now if I ask the Claude that give me the IPL schedule, so now Claude knows that, okay, I do have an MCP server that gives me the information about the IPL schedule. I will name this as an IPL schedule and I will expose a bunch of tools. Tools are nothing but consider those are the APIs that your MCP client can understand. Okay, and those works on the JSON RPC. So what I will do is whatever this API was there, I will expose that as a tool. So I will be exposing this as a tool. Okay, so now this particular tools is been understood by this Claude system, and whenever I ask that give me the IPL schedule, this knows that, okay, I do have a server available. Within that server I do have a tool available that can get me the data for the IPL schedule. So what it will do is it will call that tool, and this particular tool will internally call the ClickBuzz API to fetch all the data, and it will expose those data with my Claude system, so I can get all those information. Great, right? So now you can see that I am getting some of the data which earlier it was not having, and now I can get the data. Now this is very important because if I want to have the other system, suppose I am talking about Google, right? So Google has their Gemini. Okay, and if I want to have that facility, that implementation for Gemini as well, then I can directly connect to this particular MCP server. That's it. Now this Gemini will also have the capability to fetch the IPL schedule. So rather than I having the different implementation of the IPL schedule within the different functions available, right? How this works? based on the functions available, right? We have talked about the AI functions in the previous videos as well, but all this works based on the functions. So this has the capability to invoke some functions. This also has the capability to invoke some functions, but the internal implementation differs. This MCP standardized that way, and I can connect that MCP server to fetch the data. Great. So now what we will do is we will do the same thing to implement this functionality. We will create the application. That application will allow us to expose some of the APIs, and we will convert those APIs to have those exposed as the MCP tools and connect using the Anthropic. Great, right? So for that, what we will do is let's go to start.spring.io. We will use the Java Spring 3.4. this, and we'll say it's a daily code buffer, and artifact depot as IPL schedule API MCP server. Okay, and what I will do is I'll say IPL API. That's it. Okay, this is my packaging information. So packaging is jar, Java is 21, 3.4.4 Java Maven. And what I will do is, as it is a Spring Web application, I'm going to create a Spring Web. I am going to add the Lombok, and what I will do is I will add the model context protocols, because I'm building the MCP server, and this is a part of the Spring AI initiative. Okay, so I'm going to use this, and that's it. You can see that all those things are been added, and what I will do is I will generate the project and open an IntelliJ IDEA. So let's do that. Great, my project is open. So for simplicity, what I will do is I'm not going to connect to ClickBuzz API, but I'm going to create a service which has all the data from the list itself. I can pass it, but internally you can always connect to the external APIs. That's the nitty-gritties. Okay, main thing is how we can expose those as a tools and how we can connect to the MCP server. So what I'll do is I'll just copy paste most of the information because we will be directly using it. Okay, so what I'll do is let me just create some of the things. So let me just create a package called model to get some data. Let me just create a package called service, and let me one more create as a controller. Okay, let me just copy few information so we can directly start. So what I'll do is I'll create a new Java class as a match, and I'm just adding a simple thing. Okay, what I'm adding a match number, match day, date, time, home team, away team, venue, and match type. Okay, regular, qualifier, eliminator, final. So these are the basic model for us. Okay, now let me create a service. So I'm just creating a schedule service class, exposing this as a service. I'll just copy most of the information because it will be very simple. So I've done a very simple thing. What I've done is I have just added a list of matches here as my schedule. Okay, we already created a model for the match, and this will have the list of matches, and we just added a post construct here to initialize our load IPL schedule. So this is the method load IPL schedule. What it will do is it will just initialize all the matches for us. And what I did, I just added each and every match here. Okay, what is the match number, match day, what is the date, what is the day, time of the match, the team between home team and away team, and the venue. All those information I have added. I just got this information from OpenAI and I just dumped those information. Okay, I downloaded the schedule from the iplt20.com, and I uploaded that PDF to OpenAI, and OpenAI gave me this information, and I just copy pasted. This is nothing extra, nothing fancy. Okay, I'm just creating a list with bunch of information, and this is the entire schedule for me. And I added a few of the methods, add match, to add all this information to a list. That's it, nothing fancy. Okay, now let's add a few of the services to expose some data. Okay, so I'm just adding a get all matches method that will list all the matches. So it will send all the entire matches list here. So this is one of the API. Let's talk about the other API. Okay, so this is get matches by team. So based on the team name, I'll fetch all the matches of that particular team. Okay, I'm just filtering based on the streams, nothing fancy. This is a get matches by date. that was by team, this is by date. This is get matches by date range. That means if I pass start date and end date, based on that I will be fetching all the data. And this is the get matches by venue. So based on the ground, based on the venue, I can fetch all the matches based for those data. And this is based on the match number, that based on the match number I can fetch the data. If I say that what is the match number 50, then I can get the details about match number 50, that this is between these two teams, this is the match date and all those bunch of information. So this is all the different service methods that I am adding, and all this will happen based on this data. Now let me just create a controller as well. So what I'm doing is I'm just creating a new controller, Java class schedule controller, and what I will do is I'll just copy paste this information as well, because this is also very simple. I will just initialize schedule service and match. That's it. Okay. So here also you can see it will be very simple. So what it does is it is a schedule controller and it has an API request mapping as /API/IPL/schedule, and we are using the schedule service here, initialized it, and we have the different API methods. So one is the get mapping that will list all the matches. One is match/match number, which will give me the match number. One is team/team name, which will give me based on the team. Date based on the date, and date range based on the two parameters, and the venue. So you can see that these are the bunch of parameters, bunch of APIs that we have exposed. Okay. So if I start my application, okay, before that one thing I will just add is I will just add a couple of properties, that what is my date format and time zone. Okay. That's the only thing. Now let me just start my application. So I will go and start my application. I'll enable the Lombok processing, and port 8080 has been used, no problem. Let me just define some other port for now. So what I will do is I will just change server.port for now. Okay, let me just start on 8081. So your application is started now. Okay, you can see the application started. What I will do is I'll go to the browser and let me just call localhost 8081. I'll just change to 8081. Okay, API IPL schedule. That's it. And you can see that I got the entire schedule here. Okay, all match number, match day, start time, home team, away team, venue, match type, each and everything. So if I want to filter it out, I can do based on my this thing. So if I say match number, right? So if I say /mat, okay, /match number 50. Okay, you can see that I'm getting match number 50. Okay, so all those APIs works. Now what I want to do is, as we discussed here, okay, this is my API created, okay, which will talk to some of the APIs and fetch me the data. Now I need to wrap it around with the MCP server. Okay, now when we talk about the MCP server, there are three different kind of implementation that we can do based on how you are setting the data. One is based on the standard IO. One is based on the web MVC, and one is based on the reactive. And one thing we need to understand is this is very early stage, right? So there will be bugs and things available. So we need to work around. The idea is to learn what is going to happen and be prepared of what we can build. So currently what we're going to do is, as we have created a web application, we will be using this Spring Web MVC's implementation. Okay, so there is a Spring Boot starter by default available. So for that, if you go here, right, Spring AI MCP. So if you search here, this is the complete documentation. So you can go to this documentation and you can understand what and how the different layers work, right? So you have MCP client, MCP server, and both have the session, and based on the session, they both client and server interacts based on the MCP transport, that is your JSON RPC calls. Okay, so based on that we can communicate. And how we can communicate? We can communicate based on this standard IO, SSE, and reactive. So if we go to this entire diagram, right, you will be able to understand how this works. So basically, you can see that we have these three transport options, that is standard IO, Java HTTP client based SSE, and Webflux SSE based. We're going to use this one for today. So for that, if you scroll down here, right, so you can see that these are the client starters and these are the server starters. So you can see if any of the starters that you want to use, right, you can use Spring AI Starter MCP Server, Spring AI Starter MCP Server Web MVC, and Spring AI Starter MCP Server Web Flux. As we created the web application, by default it was added this. If it was not a web application, it would have added this. So if we go here and if we just go to pom.xml file, and if you scroll down here, right, you can see that it is Spring AI Starter MCP Server Web MVC. This is the one it's been added. Okay, so we are working with this one, which is a Spring MVC based SSE transport. I am still seeing some of the bugs here. So what I will do is I will just convert this to standard IO. What I will do is I will just remove the Spring web application altogether. I will just say that don't treat this as a web application, treat it as a standard IO. So these are the workarounds that we need to do until all the bugs are fixed and we have the stable release from the Spring AI and the MCP. So these are all the documentation. So if I go to MCP Server boot starters, right, this is the one that we are implementing. So what you need to do, you just add the dependency, and what you need to do is you need to scroll down here, either of the three dependencies we need to add, and these are the properties. So what are the properties? These are the things that we need to set to make sure that our application works. So by default, MCP server is enabled. So by default it's there. Standard IO is false. We can enable it if you are using it, right? The main important thing is the name of the server. The name of the server we need to give so that your host can understand that which is the server that we are talking about. Okay, so server name and server version, these are the two information we need to give. By default these are the information, but we will give it explicitly. And server type, it's a synchronous server or an asynchronous server. Are you building a reactive or a non-reactive? Based on that, this will change. Now, are you enabling resource change notifications? So whenever there is a change in the resources, that notification, that trigger, that event needs to be triggered so client can understand it, right? So that information is also true, that needs to be enabled. Prompt change notification, if there is any change in prompt, that also needs to be emitted. If there is any change in tool, that also needs to be emitted. We talked about this earlier in the MCP video, that MCP server gives three kind of information to handle: tools, resources, and prompts. So these are the three things about it. Today we are going to talk about tools. And what is a tool response MIME type? Like how are we giving the tools? Is it a PNG? Is it a generate image, or what all things, right? So based on that we are going to provide. Then the SSE message endpoint. By default this is the endpoint, like how your client will interact with your server, MCP server, right? We are talking about that MCP client and MCP server. So how they are going to interact is based on the API provided. And this is the SSE endpoint. So this is a by default underlying architecture that we're going to use. We are not worried about that much. If you want to understand, we have already created a dedicated video on that. You can go and check that out as well. And if you want to change any base URL as well, we can change base URL as well. So these are the bunch of things that we can add. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple of things here. I will add that as well. And two things. What we need to do is we need to provide tools. So with @tool annotation, we can provide the tools, that this is the tool that you want to work, and all those tools we need to add as a callback provider as well. So you can see that we have a tool callback provider. So we need to add that as well so that all the tools are exposed to the client as well. So two things we need to do. If you are working with resource, you need to do the similar thing for resource. If you're working with prompt, you need to do the similar thing for prompt. So whatever you want to do, you can just follow this document and get the data handled. Okay, whatever the resource or whatever the prompts and tools you are exposing. So this is the simplest thing, and if you can see that it is a simple configuration. If it's a standard IO, do this. If it's a web MVC, do this. Okay, all those things are by default added here. You just need to copy paste. And as we talked about tools, right, this is how you can provide tools in the service. Just provide the tools. So we will do the same thing, whatever the service layer we have defined, right? If you go to the service, and within this service, these are the bunch of methods. So we will create all the things as tools. So let's do that. So what we will do is let's go here and let's build a tool. So I'm going to define here as simple thing, @tool. Okay, so you can see that this tool is from the Spring Framework AI tool annotation. So just define it and give the description that get all matches for IPL 2025. Now if you want, by default the name of the tool will be get all matches. If you want to change it, you can do using the name property as well. Okay, I'm going to keep the same as the name of the method as well. So you can see this is one of the tools that I have defined. So this tool will be exposed so that Claude can use this tool. We will add the same thing for all those different tools. So this is tool with get matches by team. Okay, either home or away. And this is get matches by date, as we are passing the date and we have added the format as well. This is the format that we are expecting. So with this description, the LLM model, your client will understand that what is the format that we are expecting. And this is by date range. So get all matches by date range and the format the same. And get tools by venue. Sorry, here it should be venue, and let me just change to match number. Okay, so here you can see that I just added all the different tools in my service layer, that my service layer is exposing all those different tools. Great. So now let's do some of the configurations in our application.properties so that we can work with this. One of the things that I wanted to do is I don't want this as a web service now. Okay, so let me just stop this server now. So one of the things I'll define as Spring main web application type as none. So this is not a web application. That's what I'm trying to say here. Okay, couple of more things. So one thing we are doing is that the banner, right? So whenever the Spring application starts, we display a banner that this is a Spring application, these are the bunch of informations about it. Okay, so that we are making it off so that there is no issue in the JSON parsing. Those are the by default strings, right? But whenever MCP and client and MCP server are communicating, those information should not be there, and your server should understand that your server is start. So that's why we are making it as a false. If you keep it as on, then there will be a issue in the communication and you will get a JSON parsing error. So for that reason, we will make it off for now. We are adding the name of the log files as well, because by default your log should not go in console. So that's why we are making logging pattern console equals to false, nothing. So that's why there will be no logs in the console. Okay, and all the logs will go to the log file. We have added a couple of more properties, that is defining the server name, that is Spring AI MCP server name and Spring AI MCP server version. So I'm defining IPL schedule API MCP server. That's the name of the server that we need to define, and we need to define Spring AI MCP server version. That's it. Once you define this, your entire configuration is done and your application can now work as an MCP server. To do that, what we need to do is we need to create an executable. So what we'll do is we will just go to lifecycle, clean and package. That's it. There was a failure in the test, but I guess, okay, so what I'll do is I'll just remove the tests as well. Let me just do this. Okay, and let's do the same. Make sure that your completely build a success, and now you have, if you go to target and you have the MCP server snapshot. So this is what we're gonna use it. So now we need to do configuration in MCP client as well. What is our MCP client? Our MCP client is our Claude. So this is where we need to do the configuration. Okay, so to do this configuration, if you go to terminal, okay, and if you go to library, application support, and go to Claude, okay, and here you can see that, and within this you need to have the Claude desktop config.json file. If you do not have this file handy, you can create this file as well. Okay, there is no issue, but you need to have this Claude desktop config.json file. Now this file will have the configuration for the MCP server. This is the configuration that we have added for the MCP server Docker in the previous video when we worked with the MCP introduction. This is what we have added. So you can see that it can take the bunch of different servers. So we are gonna add the new server available. So what we will do is, I have opened the same thing in the cursor as well. Okay, so here what we will do is we will add the configuration. So let me just copy this, okay, and add the another configuration, that is MCP server Docker. And what I will do is I will convert this to Java, but I need the complete Java path as well. So what I will do is I will add a Java path. I will ask which Java here, and this is my Java, so I'm going to add a complete Java path. Okay, and the arguments, it is asking me for the arguments. Let me just add it. So arguments, what are the arguments I need to give? I need to give java-jar. Okay, and the URL. This is how we call, right? Java-jar and the name of the jar file. So if I go to IPL schedule and this is jar file, okay, so what I'll do is I'll copy the path reference. Okay, I'll complete path reference and I will just paste it. Okay, this is the complete path. So now you can see that I have created the MCP server. The name of the server is wrong. So what I need to do is I need to correct it. What is the name of the server? So we will go to our application.properties and I will copy the name of the server, that is IPL schedule API MCP server, and I will just paste this information. Okay, so now you can see that I have configuration about MCP servers. I have 2 servers available and this is the one that has been new added. There is some issue, let me just correct it. Okay, so your entire configuration for Claude is also done. Now what you need to do is you can go to Claude. Okay, and here currently you will be able to see that you have one MCP server installed, that is the Docker server, which we already talked about, and you can see there are 19 tools available. Okay, these are all the tools from the Docker. What we have to do is we have to just quit it and start it again. So we'll just start it again, and now it should be able to get it. You can see that there is an issue available. MCP IPL schedule MPS spawn could not connect to MCP server. There is some issue, right? So what you can do is you can go to open MCP settings and here you will be able to see, and you can see the log folders as well. And I know there is an issue in the Java command. You can see that /java is there, right? So we'll correct it. So I'm just trying to show you that where if there is an issue where you can see. So here you can see that there is a logs. So within the logs you will see each and everything, and you will be able to see how it connects and each and everything. Okay, internally how everything connects. So if you go through this log, understand it, you will be able to see that how internally they are communicating and what are the client and server messages are being exchanged, so that they know that what is happening within the server and client. So let's correct that information. So it should be /opt/homebrew. Okay, and if we check it correctly, that's how it should be. If you go to terminal, it should be opt homebrew opt openjdk bin java. Okay, so now you can see that we have corrected it, and now if you go to Claude, close it out, start it again, let's see how it works. We are allowing, okay, and there is again some issue. Let's see what is the issue. Okay, so the issue is request is getting timeout. So what we will do is, for simplicity, okay, I will completely remove the web here. Okay, so what I'll do is I will go to pom.xml file. I will go to web here. I do not need this dependency. Okay, we will go with the standard IO, remove this dependency, refresh the project, and we will go to controller and comment it out. Okay, and then you have the configuration that okay, the Spring AI MCP server, date format and all those things, and you will go to Maven and clean and package. Great, your application has been, your packaging has been done. Go back to Claude, let's try it out. As it is very in the starting phase, these are kind of issues, we will get it, and we need to have the workarounds in it. It is not yet ready for the production grade application for sure, but eventually it will. So let me just go and restart Claude here to check if it works, and I'm still seeing some of the issue. Great, now you can see that it was able to connect. So the only issue was it was not building correctly, and it was with the cache. So what I did is I just removed the cache and built it again, and now it was able to connect. So if I go and see here, okay, you can see that I have the different MCP servers. Okay, so you can see the IPL schedule API MCP server that is now able to connect. That is the version 1. And now if I go to tools, earlier it was 19, now I have 25. So you can see that all those different extra tools are also available. That is get all matches, get match by number, get match by date, and all those things. Okay, so you can see that this extra information, extra tools are now available. So now if I ask that when is next CSK match, it should be able to understand based on the different tools available, and it should also ask me for the permission as well to use that tool. You can see that it asks me for the permission to use that tool, which tool, get all matches, and based on that it will filter and give me the data. Internally it should give me the CSK match, and you can see that it was able to understand Chennai Super Kings, and the next match is 30th match, that is April 14th. Okay, and if I say that get when is next match in Ahmedabad, it should give me the next match in Ahmedabad. It should be again asking for the tools if it has not already asked for the permission. Great. So you can see there was some internal server error. I was not able to process it, but ideally this is how you should be able to connect. When is next? I'll say IPL match in Ahmedabad. Great. Now you can see that it was able to get matches by venue. Okay, so this is the tool now it is using. So if I allow it, it should be able to give. You can see it has selected the venue. And now you can see that I got the match that on the April 19th there is the different matches available. Okay, home, away team, match type, and all those kinds of information. So you can see that this is how you will be able to connect your MCP server, build your MCP server, and connect to your MCP host. I will add the code in the description for you to check this out as well. But you can see that this is very early stages, right? We are seeing some of the bugs here and there, but eventually we should be able to understand how this works internally, and if we wanted to build something, how we can build it as well. So that's all I wanted to share about how the MCP server works. I will also explore on the MCP client side as well, and I will create a video on the MCP client implementation as well, where we can create a server, the client, and how those can interact and we can use in the different MCP host environments. So this is all I wanted to share in this video. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for the upcoming videos, and I'll be creating a lot more videos about this Spring AI, Gen AI in general, and system design. So if you do not want to miss anything, subscribe to this channel. And if you want to support me, then you can also click on the join button to support me as well. That's been it. I will see you in the next video. Till then, happy coding. Bye bye.